I've done a couple of videos that describe my problems with overeating and takeaway binges and uncontrolled consumption, but today's is just short and simple. It's the 5 steps that I put in place before it goes wrong. When I'm thinking, as I am now for reasons that I'll cover, that the next few days or weeks I'm going to just need to keep a lid on any unwanted behaviours and be a little stricter than normal with my diet. And if you're thinking, is that donut from the video thumbnail real then? Can I be that close to a donut when watching what I eat? It was real, no special effects, no stuntman. I am the Tom Cruise of YouTube. But it's taken years of practice to have that level of self-control. Don't forget, I'm a professional fitness YouTuber. This is my job. I ate it. When I spoke on previous videos about my calorie consumption going through the roof, eating even though I'm no longer hungry, eating stuff I know is bad for me, eating, a lot of people got in touch and said they experienced the same. For many, their trigger was something negative. They'd receive some bad news or pick up an injury or something, or just simply be feeling low, and they would turn to food as a means of making themselves feel better. Before they know it, they're now knee-deep in chocolate and burgers. I have had that experience. I understand the compulsion to seek feeling better through eating worse. But a more common occurrence for me, especially in recent years, has almost been a reverse of that. I would get to a point where I felt really good, physically especially, and it would then lull me into a false sense of security. Let me explain where I am right now, because it's a perfect example. If you follow the channel, you'll know that I have just spent the last 12 weeks training quite hard for a HYROX multidiscipline indoor fitness competition. Took place just over a week ago now. I did okay, got myself onto the podium and left that event feeling like I was in good shape. And to then drive that home, I then got sent some photographs from the event where I looked in really good shape. That person doesn't need to worry about the odd snack, I thought. Now I'm currently backing off my training for a period of recovery. I've got a couple of minor aches and pains that I just need to recuperate. That means that the week after HYROX, so last week I did no training, this week, very light training, and then next week I'm on holiday, which will allow me to focus on getting gently back into more proper training while still taking it easy with some Turkish sun and sea. Bit of time in the hotel gym, maybe some gentle beach sports. After my holiday, I'll be deciding what parts of the training I did in the run-up to HYROX I'm going to keep and implement going forward, and what I'm going to drop. All bearing in mind the various fitness challenges that I've got planned for the rest of the year. So that's training. No concerns about my plan in that regard. But diet is different. I know I should be eating much less now than I was when I was training hard for those 12 weeks and burning through thousands of calories every day. I know I should be eating well to promote recovery and recuperation over these coming weeks. And most importantly, I know that I can go from this to this very easily. Reality is that when my training winds down, my focus often drifts away from anything related to it, and that can include diet. With an elevated sense of being in such good shape that nothing can ruin it, that's when things go pear-shaped. And by pear, I mean fat. So this week, and for the next few weeks at least, I bust out my 5 strategies for keeping my diet where I want it under those conditions. And very importantly, as always, this is just what I do, what works for me most of the time. I'm not a coach, haven't studied nutrition, not even a real pilot. Copy anything I do at your own risk. And before people dive into the comments and say the best way to diet is to just maintain a permanently healthy and consistent consumption of good food, and that once you do that, you never need to over-focus on any of it again, you're right. But what is the best and right way is not always the easy way for everyone. What I eat and how much I eat varies dependent on all manner of things. And so I will have periods where it requires a greater degree of focus, like now. They're just simply necessary for me. I actually enjoy the process. I enjoy putting some attention in that direction. Right, the first thing I put in place when I go from a period of intense training to like now, where things are just backed off a bit, is overall calorie reduction. I simply can't eat as much food as I was eating when I was burning through it every day. So I need to eat less. If I was eating large portions of food, that'd certainly be a case of cutting those back down. But actually, even when I'm eating a lot, I don't have huge meals of food. Instead, I just get into a routine of eating on a regular basis. So for example, before HYROX, I'd be getting up in the morning and having my breakfast and then doing a bit of work in here, maybe having a mid-morning meal, then going to the gym, coming back from the gym and having a lunch, then maybe a snack mid-afternoon before going back to the gym for my second session, coming home having tea, and then maybe even a third session of training before starting to eat before bed. So the problem now is not too much in one sitting, it's too many sittings. So the simple answer is just to have less sittings. Breakfast, lunch, tea, problem solved. but not for me. Once I start eating, I find it tricky to stop. My brain just sort of goes into an okay, we're now consuming food mode. It's like giving a very chilled out shark a nibble of steak. It's now feeding. So I need to metaphorically keep the chum out of the water until I'm ready. And for me, that just means a sort of cheating intermittent fasting. Now, I did full-on fasting when I was losing weight years ago. I found it incredibly beneficial, whether I was doing 16-8, 5-2, 24, 48-hour fast, whatever version of not eating for a duration of time that I did, I found it quite straightforward to do. And the one I still use to this day on occasion is 16-8, eating for 8 hours of the day. Now, I believe that at least some of the claimed benefits to intermittent fasting must be true, benefits beyond weight loss. But let's just put those to one side for a minute and look only at weight control. Because there are a lot of people who, whenever they hear intermittent fasting, or actually any sort of eating style that involves restriction, be that restricted time of eating or restricted food types, so keto is an obvious one, those people will say, you don't need that approach because all that's happening when you do that is you're achieving calories in, calories out. Yes, well spotted. The vast majority of diets that result in you going to bed having eaten less calories work because calories in, calories out dictates fat burning or storage. But to suggest throwing away the eating strategy and just adopting nothing but the factual mathematics is ignorant of the fact that many people do need something to hang their hat on beyond numbers. You wouldn't tell a company looking to generate more profits, throw away the business plan, just sell more stuff. So here's what I do for my plan. I wake up in the morning full of motivation and enthusiasm to achieve my day's goals, and I channel that straight into eating no food, which I find quite straightforward. Within an hour or so of waking, any pangs of hunger will have long since disappeared, and they don't come back until much later in the day. I should add, it does take me 3 or 4 days to get to that point, but it does arrive. In the meantime, I just remind myself that statistically, not many people die of starvation between sunrise and lunch. Before the week is out, I'm comfortably going until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon before even thinking I want to have something to eat. And what's interesting is that even then, how much that desire for food is up here and nowhere else. The other day, I got sidetracked by the opportunity to go and buy a motorcycle. Before I know it, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm on my way to go and see the bike. I still hadn't even thought of having anything to eat. I felt fine. By the way, if you're into your bikes and the 80s, that video's coming. So I delay starting my meals. Once I do start eating, I will eat fairly normally. A meal at maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, snack, tea, same before bed. Feel absolutely fine and removed at least 2 if not 3 meals from my day with no drama. Now I said it's a cheating intermittent fasting because it's not completely without calories, but I'll come on to that when I talk about nutrition later on. Number 2 is sleep and stress. I said that I wake up in the morning full of motivation and enthusiasm. That's heavily dependent on not waking up feeling like a bag of shit because of poor sleep quality. If I go to bed late with lots on my mind, I'm going to have a poor quality night and wake up feeling lousy. And that is a surefire way to decide that a big bowl of Cocoa Pops is going to be the only solution to how I feel. Now, no stress is a tricky one because I appreciate that some people simply have lives filled with lots of it. I don't currently, but that's just lucky. So to say nor should you would be rather inappropriate. What I can say is make sure that if you have stress, what is causing it is worthy of that. The older I've got, the more clear to me it has become that a huge number of things that I used to worry endlessly about, excessively, do not require the worry I gave them. Put simply, there are many things in life that are going to pan out the way they are going to pan out. They are like unavoidable rapids in the river, you are going down them. Stressing over the inevitable, while understandable, is not only pointless, it's also not even what stress is for. Fight or flight is supposed to be used to allow you to make quick, decisive choices to escape or get stuck in. It's not supposed to be an ongoing, permanent state that hangs around while you endure something that you can neither fight with nor flight from. So stress, I appreciate it's tricky. Sleep is easier though. Typically it just comes down to this: go to bed. There's a style of thinking lately that getting hardly any sleep is hardcore or macho. Be at the gym at 4 AM, that's commitment. Unless you went to bed at 6 PM, it's not commitment, it's just stupid. And all the available science points to that. There's an abundance of research telling us we should be getting to bed at a sensible time, sleeping in an environment that is tailored to make that experience as undisturbed as possible, and consequently waking up feeling good. And not doing so is incredibly damaging for your health, short term and long term. So I'm not using my phone late at night. I'm not eating too close to bedtime. If you're going to discuss, I don't know, the mortgage payments with your wife or husband, do it at 6 p.m, not 11 p.m. I try to view sleep as anything else that I want to get good results from. It's a time-consuming activity, so make sure it's providing real value. If you spent hours in the gym, you'd make sure it wasn't time wasted. So do the same at night. Watching a phone screen or a tablet screen or eating junk just before bed, that's like going to the gym without taking your kit. You're just making a beneficial activity that you're going to have to do anyway, simply less beneficial. I also track my sleep with my Oura Ring, but to be honest, there's no real need. When it's telling me everything is good, I know everything is good because I'll have gone to bed on time, I'll have woken up at a sensible time, my sleep will have been undisturbed. And I'll then wake up feeling good, feeling full of energy, ready to get on with the day and focus on things that are important, like maintaining that intermittent fasting through until early afternoon, which is very simple to do as long as I haven't woken up feeling tired and grumpy. Matthew Walker's book on sleep is brilliant, well worth a read. Now, in terms of what I am actually eating, it's nothing particularly exciting, just my normal meals really. I've described those in previous videos, but what I do focus on when I'm in this heightened state of sort of consumption awareness is making sure I tick all the boxes in terms of nutrition and macros. And that works for me for two reasons. First, it's simply healthy if I do. If my vitamins, my minerals, my protein intake, my healthy fats, if they're all good, that's good. But the added benefit of regarding those things as important is it acts as a sort of a mental reminder, an emphasis on how serious I'm taking this need to stay on track. If I ignore those things, didn't overeat, but didn't give much thought to what I did eat, it'd be a bit like working from home in my pajamas. Yeah, I can get the job done, but I'm more likely to not put in the effort, not maintain the focus, not take it as seriously as if I got dressed for work. For me, having a focus on things like nutrition just makes me feel more attached to the objective of healthy eating. If you regard yourself as somebody who eats healthily and pays attention to your diet, you're more likely to act like that. So what does that look like for me? For example, I mentioned that my intermittent fasting is not a true fast. That's because I start each morning with a green shake from Love Life Supplements. I actually had a chat with those guys who were super helpful. I explained to them what I was doing diet-wise and they gave me some pointers. So I now add to that green shake a scoop of MCT powder, doesn't spike my blood sugar, and essential amino acids, minimal calories. I glug that down, easy to do because somehow they've made their green shake taste like orange juice. And I've got my vitamins, I've got my minerals, I've got probiotics, healthy fats, the building blocks of protein, and I feel full up. And then when I do eat regular meals after lunch, after training, I'm making sure that the protein content is high, supplementing with protein shakes if it isn't, not training particularly hard, so keeping my carbohydrates moderately low. In simple terms, not going crazy counting every calorie. I don't need to when I'm eating during a reduced time window, but making sure that what I am eating is good and fills me up. Then exercise itself is an interesting one. Clearly it goes hand in hand with diet for overall good health. But when my focus is on keeping my diet nice and simple and not allowing it to go wrong, exercise has the potential to cause more problems than it solves sometimes. I've mentioned already there are a few things that I do where one of, if not the main benefit that results from doing those things is more a feeling of being focused on my health and nutrition. So I'm getting the right mindset. In the past, what I've done is along those lines, gone overboard on the exercise. Again, thinking that if I'm training really hard, it's going to put me in the right mental state where just everything good for my health becomes a focus. I'm getting good sleep, I'm getting the right foods, I'm just looking after myself, and the exercise just drops right in with that. But actually, the increased calorie burn just then makes me hungry. Now, I need to exercise hard when I'm training. That's simply a necessary dilemma to overcome. But right now, where I'm in a period of low intensity anyway, quite happily, the exercise is very much secondary. In terms of not putting on excess weight, which is my big concern when I'm inactive, diet has a massive influence compared to exercise. So right now, exercise is almost an afterthought. Going for a couple of hours run and then succumbing to a late night pizza is a worse way to end the day than just not doing the run and not eating the pizza. I'll pick up the exercise in due course and will not have gone significantly backwards, if backwards at all, as a result of taking it easy for a few weeks. On the other hand, a few weeks of poor eating choices, no matter what exercise goes with it, that could take a lot longer to bounce back from. I know, because in the past, I've trained incredibly hard and got very fat at the same time. So I'm still active, I'm walking the dogs every day, I'm doing some mobility, some flexibility work. This week started going to reintroducing some gym sessions, some light workouts, but really until after my holiday, exercise is not the priority. And lastly, temptation. I'm describing this as temptation, which normally has negative connotations associated with it, being tempted to do something bad, and there's clearly a bit of that, but as significant a part of it is being tempted to do the right thing. And very simply, this just comes down to how I set up my kitchen. It really is, for me, as simple as that. It's the only place in the house where food is kept, so it's the only place in the house I'll ever go and make a bad food choice. So we have a treats basket in there, but it's up high, it's out of sight, out of mind, and at the moment it's almost empty and it's staying that way. What is not empty is my good stuff drawer and my supplements cupboard. In there is stuff that I can just go and grab, super easy, it's all good to eat. I've got my oats, my protein powders, I've got my peanut butters in there, coconut flakes, cocoa nibs, raw chocolate chips, stuff that I can go and make a meal from or make a snack from quick and easy. And then in my supplements cupboard, I've got my green shakes, my amino acids, my MCT pills and powders. I've said this time and time again, you want good things to become habitual, and the best way to create a habit is to make it unavoidably simple to do. Going into the kitchen and mixing up a protein shake or some oats with some nuts and blueberries, or having my green shake, that needs to be the easiest thing to do in there. It can't be a hassle. Grabbing something junk can't be the easier option. Eating right is entirely in your head. It's not a 4-minute mile where you might want to do it but your body can't. Anybody can eat perfectly. There's no physical challenge to that. It's entirely up here. But that doesn't make it easy. People that just dismiss that as just willpower are completely missing the point that willpower, good decisions overcoming bad decisions, is not some sort of incredible achievement that you should be proud of, not in the way people often are, because the bad decisions you make, they're your decisions too. Willpower is just one side of your head versus the other. It's like your left hand being stronger than your right hand. If you are lucky enough to be tilted in favour of the better side, you're very lucky. You aren't better. If you're unlucky and there's just an even balance between good and bad, or even worse, a tilt to the bad, rather than beating yourself up over simply how your head works, stack things in favour of the weaker side. Make it very easy to make good decisions and really inconvenient to make bad decisions. I require zero willpower when it comes to not eating the chocolate in the treats basket, because there's no chocolate in the treats basket. Okay, that is it. They are the things I am doing right now while I'm in this little in-between state between Hyrox and whatever comes next. And talking of next, while I'm on holiday, I'm going to be coming up with a plan for the summer's training. I now know all the events I'm going to be doing, so I can put all that in place with some planning for them. That video to come. Although the first video is going to be what Jen is doing, because if you watch the Hyrox video, you will know that Jen, my wife, she is going to be spending the entire summer, in fact the entire next year, training under Jade Skillin, Master Hyrox Coach. That process has begun, so updates on that to follow. Okay, we are almost at 100,000 subscribers, which is crazy, so if you've not yet subscribed, please do so. It'd be amazing to see 100k pop up while I'm on that Turkish beach. And I'll see you on the next one.